Welcome to Sister Sessions, a podcast where two sisters on very different journeys explore what it means to live spiritually in today's world. My sister, Jenny Fairbank, is the co-founder and spiritual director of Wisdom Pathways, a yoga and meditation teacher, and a somatic healer devoted to guiding others toward inner peace. And I'm Susie Gustin, a mom of three, producer and owner of Red City Live Entertainment, embracing life's joys while searching for deeper meaning. Together, we have honest, relatable conversations about finding balance, purpose, and connection in everyday life. So, settle in. You are exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Sister Sessions. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sister Sessions. I'm Susie Gustin. I'm here with my co-host and sister, Jenny Fairbank.
Hello, everyone.
And as you can see, we have a special guest today that we are absolutely honored and thrilled to have joining us. We have the lovely Tara DeFrancisco. And to tell you a little bit about Tara, Tara believes in the power of connection and collaboration of comedic work on a cellular level. Globally, she is celebrated for her hilarious and encouraging work on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, with multiple viral messages shared to millions around the world. She is a professional improviser, sketch performer, stand-up, and comedic performer with over 9,000 live shows and events to date. Individually, she has toured to 25 countries and over 200 cities as a headliner, speaker, keynote leader, and instructor. She has been known for television, voiceovers, movie work, and jingles over her career. She is also known as an educator and artistic director in performance spaces and guest professor in universities in the U.S. Come on, give us a warm welcome for Tara DeFrancisco. Hi, Tara.
And back at you. Yay.
So let me just tell you.
It's so weird having your bio read because you're like, yes.
You like get reacquainted with yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Did I do that? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Not bad.
That is so awesome. Well, I'll just tell you, I discovered you on Instagram.
Okay.
And girl, I started sharing your videos, your one-liner videos. I sent them to Jenny and I was like, we have to have her on the show.
Oh.
Not only are you hilarious, but the inspiration and the messages, come on.
That's so sweet. It's been nothing but joy, honestly. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've had a couple of interviews where people are like, where are you coming up with this stuff? And the answer is life. I don't know. Like, life is where I'm coming up with it. Or generally, the way I speak with friends is the way that I speak on social media. Like, this is who I am. So I'm so glad to talk to people that like it or need it or any of that stuff or feel it themselves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you have an intention that this was going to be something that you were constantly doing those short videos? Or was it like you did one and you were like, wow?
You know, I've been doing live comedy for so long that I feel it's not always you playing you, I suppose, in the kind of the type of comedy that I do, but generally in the in-betweens, I'm an arts educator. So a lot of it is about bringing your authentic truth or voice to the stage. And because of that, I think these things have just been sort of the way that I speak backstage or in regular time. Recording a few, I just recorded some for fun. And you know, it's strange because people always want to know, like, how do you go viral on socials? And I think sometimes the more you plan, the worse it goes. It doesn't always like pan out if you want it to be a certain way. But me talking as me did work for some reason. I think that maybe it's because people just want to hear from real seeming people right now. That's sort of in the ether a bit. And it's fun. It's fun just to kind of like be yourself and see what comes back to you on those mediums at this point.
Well, it's so authentic. And I think people can read that, 100%. People can tell if you're being real or if it's like you're putting on an act,
It sure feels like that. I mean, I think that the way you do sister sessions, it's like the more authentic you are with each other, the more people are called to be the same with you. There's an adage I do improvisation for my comedic professional life for the most part, which just means we get a suggestion from an audience, we make up things on the spot in front of live audiences of sometimes 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever it may be venue wise. And one of the adages in this art form is the audience can only feel as much as you feel. So the more that you like kind of disclose what you're feeling or your truth, the more they feel like you're representing them on stage when you play. And I love that part of it. That's one of my favorite things in the world to do, is sort of like represent the human truth or be student counsel for the human spirit. That's my hope.
It's so good.
Yay. It's a joy.
Excellent. I would love to know how you got involved in comedy in the first place. Tell us your story.
Sure. So when I was a young gun, I feel like I had heard, this was a different time too. Now it's a little easier to kind of figure out the track of how you would do this. But back when I was in college, I was interested in comedic arts, and there wasn't really like a specified way of doing that as a major or anything like that. I did performance things and communication things and collegiate work. But then I had a professor that taught stand-up comedy as an elective. And he basically was like, you should go to Chicago. And I was like, why? What's in Chicago? And he said, all these people that you want to know, or all the kind of stage work that you want to do, is there. And at that time, it really was like you moved to Chicago to kind of do like almost like a grad school like program or programs at different comedic spaces that would teach you how to kind of elevate sketch comedy, or to do stand-up comedy, or to do improvisational comedy. You learn that for a long time. Then I'd say at the time that I was living there, there are probably 10,000 or so active improvisers in Chicago itself, and only a fraction of those would get a job from it. So you'd kind of get elevated in these positions of big theaters there that would hire you as a touring member or a person on one of their main stages. And you would do that as a career and sort of gig basically as much as you could. You could also become an instructor once you hit a certain level of shows, or like the ways that you play or whatever. And then that, fortunately, I got both, which was I got to perform a lot as a comedian and as a creator and writer, and then became an instructor of improvisation all around Chicago too. So once that started, it was different. My partner and I tour a 2-person musical called Here the Improvised Musical. And
Yes, I
that
wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, that show kind of took off when we were already teachers and performers at many of the Chicago institutions. And it lit up really quickly. And then we started getting flown to tour. So once we started touring our own show, we could live anywhere, go anywhere, help other art spaces outside of Chicago, etc. So that's what we did.
Wow.
Yeah. Wild ride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always thought that being like a comedian and doing stand-up comedy is one of the bravest things that someone can do. Like, I couldn't even imagine standing in front of any group of people. And I don't mind being on stage, but to do stand-up comedy, totally brave. Like, that's next
Yes,
level. Hoping you get
totally.
a laugh, waiting for a reaction.
It's wild. I mean, stand up is probably the one I do the least, but it's still, I think you're right, very brave. I mean, there's sort of these ideas, like stand up is, I wrote my own thing and I'm going to present it, which there's a vulnerability to that that's very terrifying. Then there's improvisation, which is, I don't have any script at all and I'm going to try to co-create with another artist on the fly. And then there's
Wow.
like sketch comedy, which is more like stand up, where you write something with a team often and then you present it as a review. And they're all very brave. But you know what's
Yeah.
funny is everyone always thinks like, oh, I could never. And then you sort of remind them that you're improvising every day of your actual life. It's not as intimidating as that. I mean, that's scarier when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Well, when I've been looking at, since Susie sent me, your link to Instagram, and I've been looking at your reels, and what I'm so drawn to is how deep your one-liners are, how spiritually based they are. I'm like, that's what I talk about. I work with individuals and couples and groups in the spiritual aspect. I'm a spiritual guide and all of these
Cool.
things. And so I talk about spirituality on a regular daily basis in all kinds of different ways, really being bringing it to the practical side of life, right? And you do it in this brilliant way of these short little things, and I'm blown away by that, because that is
That's so sweet.
not easy, Tara, honestly. And
Good work.
It's like a huge message in a small frame.
You know, that's very kind. Thank you. And I think that sometimes people do better with these sort of nuggets. I've been really toying around with the idea that sometimes when you give people a succinct message, it's almost better because they have a chance to react to that message or like embody that message more than me expounding upon it forever. I mean, if I was to give some giant speech, you'd kind of start to tune out and think about how it relates to your own life rather than one kind of more blunt or like brassy statement that allows you to either embody it or react to it. And that seems to be like the most effective thing that we can all do for each other is like, how do you want to respond to that? Or how do you want to hold that? Because of it being brief or whatever, that seems to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I see it as exactly what you're saying, really effective because they have to chew on that a little bit. They have an opportunity to chew on that one little
Yes.
statement that actually is really profound and thinking, oh yeah, how does that relate to my life? How am I that? Do I do that? Or is that relatable? And that's it. It's like one little thing that is really powerful. So I really appreciate what you're doing there because I know that it's guaranteed helping a lot of people. And that's what this is all about, right?
That's so nice. That's what we hope. I hope we're all like walking each other home a little bit. I mean, that's the hope, I think. I think we all lose sight of that too, is like what are we all doing here? What are we trying to do for each other? And when you get all the minutia out of the way and you start to recognize, I hope we're all taking care of each other or at least like being advocates or allies for each other, then it becomes more fun to sort of think, what does everyone need to hear today? Or what is everyone like thinking about already is the fun of
Yeah.
it.
100%. And that, I mean, there's so many things that that we want to talk about, but you tell me, so you do this, that you were really excited about this in school and wanted to do this. And then what keeps you motivated here? And how do you have a grounded spiritual practice at all? I mean, cause that's where I'm going to ask. I can't help it.
That's what I
It's
do.
coming. Do you meditate? Do you meditate?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking. My brain is so buzzy uh that I always wrestle with this anyway, but
I struggle with it too.
it's hard. I mean, I think there's certainly many ways to kind of get that accomplished or like to do that thing, but I tend to be best when I'm in nature. When I'm in nature, I feel most grounded, like literally and metaphorically, probably in this case. But like, I actually fear. Do you know about forest bathing? I feel like that
Yeah.
is my that's my brain. Is like if I have a canopy of trees around me and some birds, I feel pretty good. But it's so rare, and I think that the more a challenge has been, the more I'm like sort of known for social media, the more you're staring at a screen and the more you're on a screen, you're like, what am I doing? Oh, it's sort of that lack or that loss of self. And I've been wrestling with that a little bit in not a horrible way, but just sort of like considering it of how do you stay present, embodied, in your being yourself while looking at your own reflection on a screen and like recording yourself. It's pretty trippy, to kind of do that and then have people respond to you when you're not actually interacting with them in real time. So it's always really nice to do things like this where you get to talk to people because it feels more humanist to me to do that. Yeah, that's kind of like that's sort of where I guess the end of the beginning. The work that I do as an arts educator is not, I wouldn't call it spiritual, but I think if there's certain teachers that are like me that feel like it's a humanist leading generous space of how to like call people in and let them be authentically themselves. That's like a really important thing for improvisational schools right now is like, how do we protect the least of us? How do we make sure everyone's surrounded? How do we let people know they can bring their fullest truth to the stage and not be terrified to do it? Like so there's like all these kind of like overlaps, I suppose, in the world with like this kind of work that artists do, I think, that I'm always like sort of kicking around in my own brain.
I can imagine it'd be very difficult no, not the word I want to say. I can imagine it can be challenging for people to like really step into that part of them and be courageous and be authentic. And because
Yes.
it's hard for us on a regular basis, let alone
Yes.
being on stage in front of people and saying, just be your authentic self.
Right, yeah, just do it. There's hundreds of people here. Just go, just go. Yeah, it's not like a natural instinct for everyone to do that, especially as when you're a child and you're put in these positions of whatever trauma you're holding in your body of like, you're not going to be liked because of your book report. And then someone's asking you to get on stage and be hilarious. It can be really overwhelming for people, but comedy is a lens with which to see the world, or it's probably a defense mechanism. And it's probably like the healthiest and best defense mechanism, but it's still a defense mechanism of like, how do I get you to like me right away? Or how do I hold energy without, sacrificing myself right away? Like it's one of those. So I'm always like sort of considering what we're bringing to the table as an educator or as a, like a leader, a coach, whatever it might be, a performer. What does the audience feel tonight? Like, how can I help best reflect that or help pull it out of someone that's looking to find their own voice?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That's a tall order.
It's a tall
Yeah.
order. Yeah.
And amongst like all this wonderful things, all these things that you do, thanks to your voice, I can proudly say that I have joined Team Ocean today. Would you like to tell the listeners and all about this?
Yeah, that's so nice. They'll be glad to hear that. It's brand new. Team Ocean is part of Ocean Conservancy's call to protect not only ocean wildlife, they are looking to protect. It's kind of expansive. It's like if we protect the water that we're swimming and drinking, obviously, and the marine life in there, we also want to realize that all those things affect everything else, even athletics, even event spaces, even
It's
beach
wild.
trends. Yeah, so it's something I'd never really considered. They approached me and asked me if I would talk about it, and I was so excited because I'm in the Midwest, so people don't always think like, this Chicago, Ohio gal should probably talk about the ocean. It's not like a thing that you always hear, but it just feels like, I don't know. Right now, I've been seeking so much this year and many years of like, what can one person do? And there's not always a great answer to that. To be honest, like we have to be advocates in our life. We have to speak up for people that need us, and ideally, like little things that we can do that maybe not even are monetary, like just things that like just saying that I believe in this thing and I want to amplify it is part of the work I think we have to do for lots of people out there.
Yeah. So, for anyone listening, if you would like to read or learn more about this, we will put all of this in the show notes and you can have an opportunity to look at it and see if you'd like to join and support that cause as well.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
It's a great organization. They've been around for, I only learned a little bit about them in the last month, I'd say. And they've been around for 50 years and have like a 99% on charity navigator, which is like unheard of. I mean, that's like very rare for like any organization. And I always tend to check of like, oh, Trevor Project, great. Like what projects are doing a great job and don't have like a multi-millionaire at the helm that's sort of the money or whatever. So it's really nice to see people trying to do good work like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jenny, you have to look into that. I guarantee you're going to be like, click, I'm going to definitely.
I'll definitely do it. Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So when you're looking at, like, even when you were just saying about how do we affect change in the world? What do we do as one person? And I always feel like there's many things. One of them is being fully your authentic self, because there's no one else in the universe like you, and you need to embrace who you are and love who you are and share your gifts with the world in the best way that you can. And it doesn't have to be a massive thing, right? I mean, it's the smallest things that matter. And what I feel is if you take care of your consciousness and you are in the highest frequency you can be in, you are making massive change energetically, because
So
we
nice.
are feeding the whole, whoever we are being. If we're in a place of peace, love, joy, then we are spreading that out energetically, naturally.
That's
Or if
wonderful.
we're in a place of anger and fear and grief and living there, then we're spreading that energy out. We're not in our own little bubbles. We're one energy. And so remembering that, and all we have to do most importantly, in my opinion, is to the best we can be for ourselves. And that automatically affects the whole in the best way.
It's so important. Yeah, that's very important. Absolutely.
So how do you feel that you do that in terms of like, how do you show up with your people, your family and your friends, and like, in terms of like, are you always the comedian in the room, or
Gee,
does it vary, or is it
Good
like
question, Jenny.
that's who you
Jenny.
are and you can't get away from that?
Yeah, I think that I think I've grown. I think I've grown. I hope I've grown. I hope I've grown. Oh, geez. I think I've grown. I think that there's a lot of work to be done with, comedy specifically is such an interesting thing to evaluate. And I'm sure there's corollaries to this, but comedy people are known to always be taking the temperature of the room. Like, right, we're always like looking to see how everyone feels. And I think that's really kind of done a number to my people pleaser center of like, how is everybody feeling? Like, you have to start to kind of wonder, am I also taking care of me? Am I also taking care of, the people that actually need advocacy or care? Or am I just sort of like making sure everyone's okay? And there's a difference. Like, I'm starting to kind of parse what that means to notice that, like who needs advocacy and who needs surrounding. Is it me also that needs it? Whatever, like, how do we get better and better at that as we go? And I don't think that I'm like necessarily, I think actually as I've like begun my healing process or done lots of like therapeutic work or therapy work over the years, I've had a lot of like trauma. I've had a lot of like grief, like a lot of like really early loss in my life. And I think as you sort of like heal from that stuff, you start to realize you don't have to be funny all the time. Like, I think I was funny all the time because I didn't want people to necessarily engage with me.
Yeah.
And then as I've gotten older, I'm very funny on stage. But when I walk off stage, I don't think that I have to like be the funny one in the room anymore. And that's a huge growth for me because it used to be the thing that I always felt. I was definitely like a class clown sort of energy as a kid and very intelligent too, but always kind of splitting that difference of like, got to make a little quip here and there so everyone knows, I'm the playful one. And of course, I like doing that now because it's fun to do, but it doesn't feel like it's necessary to do, which is different for me right now.
So different, right?
Yes.
And you're being more intentional versus the whole thing of like you're wanting to make sure everybody knows that you're okay.
Yes. Like there's a difference between enjoying having fun and being fun and feeling like you must be fun to be loved. I think that's sort of the evolution, I guess, for me and what I'm hopefully
That's awesome.
just trying to make sure that my friends feel that too, as we all sort of figure out why we're funny or whatever it is in our communities of comedy people. It's like, why are you funny is a big question. Not when did you, not like what do you do, but like what made you funny is a real tough question. So yeah, it's nice to kind of see people kind of be willing to step into that work as an adult.
How do you see the future of comedy? I mean, that we're in a very different time. I mean, we are growing rapidly as a culture, changing rapidly, and every system seems to be shifting in ways and evolving, right? And so with comedy, as you said, like there are a lot of comedians that they have this rap of like being kind of depressed or having a lot of trauma, and then they're driven in a certain way because of that. What do you see as the future of comedy? I know that's a big question, but
yeah, I don't know. I think that there's sort of a calling for many of us to just like speak the truth and that the truth is the funniest thing. So like it's also the darkest and scariest thing, but depending on the lens you wear when you look at it, it can also be the funniest thing. So I think that there's a real inclination for people right now to tell the truth about things or to kind of like, that meaning evaluate or reflect upon things and like share that with the world. That's where I feel like a lot of the work that I do on stage and my friends that are doing stage work or like live, even television projects and things, like the people that are doing that work are looking to share themselves more truly so that people feel like they're being held or represented or like and honestly too, as the world has gotten very dark and traumatic for many, I think that there's also a strange inclination that in those times, the weirder and darker and harder it gets, the more silly comedy gets. And then it goes the opposite way. It's like a yin yang, basically. It's like people want to see more farce and playfulness and silliness when it's darkest. And then when it's less dark, people want to hear the truth. They want to hear authenticity. Like there can be a blend, but it seems like people kind of tilt back and forth about what they're being flooded with. They need the opposite.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird biorhythm, I think, of comedy.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
It's
really fun to watch. I mean, it's nice to think that it never quite becomes one thing. It's sort of like sailing. It's like you have to right the mast to figure out where we're all, what we need right now to protect us or to like make us feel good, I suppose, is like sort of different styles or content that comes up in those times. Yeah.
I have a question. If you could design your dream gig, no limits, what would it be? Who would be there with you? Like the dream gig.
gig. I honestly think my life's pretty close to it. I don't crave
For you. I
I
love
don't
that.
yeah, I
That's a
don't
great
crave
answer.
I don't crave fame. I think that there's a lot of I love being known, and I love being known at a certain level and loved. But I don't crave fame. I think that's a big mistake. Not that you can't be famous and cool, but I think it's really hard to be like overwhelmed like that and be healthy or even have health surround you with the kind of like demand that's on you. That said, the funniest people I know, with some exceptions of here and there, the funniest people I know are probably not famous. They're like people that I've worked with that were like great at stage work and not necessarily a person that's in a movie or something. So I think generally like the things I'm really enjoying watching are groups of friends getting notoriety together is like one of my very favorite things of like these people already work together. They're really good at their show. This show somehow got popularized and now they're on tour together. It's like, that's the idea. That's the dream for everybody in any line of work. It's like, how do my friends in high school, for example, that aren't comedians, we always talk about like having a camp together and making it like, what are we all good at individually? Could we just have a camp so that we get to work together? And I think it's kind of that. Like, it's sort of like, what comedy do we all do together already? Can we bring that on tour? It's like, I think that's the dream for a lot of improvisers or stage comedians is they already want to work with the people they think are the funniest people, not necessarily the most famous people. So it's that kind of thing, like doing a podcast with fun people, doing live stage shows with 1,000 or 2 people there. And that's all, like that's it. Just really full, happy, joyful spaces that feel like you're in on something tonight and it goes away is like a great place to be. That's why people get addicted to improv for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, you are such a bright light. And
Thank you.
yes, we are so grateful that I know your schedule's really busy. Tara will have to pop off here in just a minute. But before you do, we definitely want to encourage our listeners to follow Tara on Instagram and TikTok. You will crack up. And if you want to learn more about her website is taradefrancisco.com, which we will also have in the show notes so you guys can get all the goods. And you're touring now, right? You have tour dates there too? Yeah.
I most commonly tour a show with my partner called Here the Improvised Musical. It's a 2-person improvised musical that headlines festivals sometimes. So you'll probably see that we're going to Quebec and Colorado and Michigan in the next like month. And then it just sort of like headlines festivals around the nation and outside and internationally. But I also am touring my own thing where I'm going to interact with an audience in the fall. And generally you can see me in Central Ohio or Chicago here and there quite a bit. Like if I'm not on the road, I'm there.
Awesome. Well, please, everyone, go there and check out tour dates and information. Follow her, like I said, TikTok and Instagram. And any last words from you, Jen?
Well, I'm just so grateful. Tara? Thank you for being on here with us. And I look forward to following you more and more and maybe seeing you live someday because you're an inspiration and your depth in those short one-liners to me are brilliant. Really brilliant. So that's all I've seen of you so far. And I love it so much.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you. We wish you the best and maybe you can come back and visit us.
Yay, sounds good.
Please all right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Sister Sessions podcast. If you found inspiration in today's conversation, we'd love it if you shared the episode with your besties, family, or even your favorite neighbors. We'll be back next week with more to share, but until then, remember, meditation is the key to unlocking your inner peace. All is well, friends. See you soon.